What's up, bitches?
Let's talk about crime.
What's up, bitches?
Hello.
So we're here. We've got a new setup again. We're still very much so working on it. So we've got a whole new little setup. So, here we are. We just added some Disney decorations into the podcasting room because it's a podcast / guest room. So it's Disney themed because that's perfect for true crime podcasts.
I told them they should get some LEDs customized that say Fatal Blend and Crime Bitches and put them on the wall.
Because Sierra really wants to do video. However,
I would love to do video.
I'm not trying. I got to figure out how to do video because I'm not sitting like this doing video.
Oh, the fuck you're not.
Like, no, I'm not showing. Like,
That's
it's got to be
dogs
from
are
like,
for.
it's got to be from like up here and up. It's got to be like anyways. Okay.
That's why you go to downward angle. Makes us look skinnier.
Like have a camera like
have it on
up
like
in
a
the
ladder.
corner. Or up, like have it like up in the corner, like GoPro that shit.
No, I've seen me on the Ring camera. You don't want that.
That's what I'm saying. Anyways, so yeah, I don't think there's really anything else. We can just get into what we actually are here for. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about the year 1983 in Springfield, Oregon. And a woman named Diane Downs pulls up to a hospital screaming that a man had just shot her children in her car. And come to find out later, she is actually accused of shooting her children instead. So as always, we will get into the background first. So Diane Downs is born August 7th, 1955 in Phoenix, Arizona. And she's actually born Elizabeth Diane Fredrickson. Now, her parents are Wesley Lyndon Fredrickson and Willadine Fredrickson, which I think the name Willadine is so like
redneck.
It's like old, like it is, but I think it's kind of like Willadine.
Come get your biscuits.
Yeah.
Willadine.
Yeah, that's kind of like I'm kind of like, oh, a Willadine. That's kind of cute. Anyways, now Diane spoke out actually against her father when she got older. And what she had claimed was that her father had like a really nasty hold over her mother. And what she said was that her father spent way too much time with her mother. And so in turn, her mother didn't spend enough time with her. I laugh because while it is important to love your children, it is also important to want to spend time with your significant other. So, I mean, to me, I kind of giggled when I read that because I was like, that's a weird thing. So you turned out to be an asshole because your mom spent too much time with your dad. Okay, cool. Jealous much? Diane also criticized her dad's disciplinarian techniques. And she also claimed that her father had sexually abused her. However, later on, she actually recants that accusation, saying no, that never actually happened. And both of her parents actually denied the accusation as well. So this could be one of those, like, maybe she said it when she got arrested and then came back later, was like, okay, no, that actually didn't happen type thing. I don't know why anybody would fucking falsely accuse. So if she did, that's fucked. But if not, okay.
Well, some people are just assholes.
It's very true. That's not a lie. So Diane was actually raised in a very strict conservative household, like not politically. I mean, maybe politically, but I don't mean political conservative. I'm talking about like modest. Like she was not allowed to wear fashionable clothes. She was not allowed to wear makeup. She was not allowed to dress in popular items at all. And this actually led to her being bullied, which totally believe because she had to wear like the most basic shit because her parents did not think.
Dude, I would have hated that shit.
Right? Like she wasn't allowed to be popular. I mean, even if she wanted to.
Well, she wasn't allowed to be a fucking kid.
No, she wasn't. Now, in her teenage years, she actually becomes rebellious against her family, which I understand. She meets a man named Steve Downs in high school, graduates, and he's kind of like, I think he's like a high school sweetheart, and they actually end up getting married. Now, her parents did not approve of their relationship, but Diane was like, fuck you, I'm going to see this guy anyways because that's my man. Now, she does go on and she attends Pacific Coast Baptist Bible College in Orange, California. And if y'all don't know where Orange, California is, I actually know because that's where I stayed there one time. I stayed there one time when we were with Dad on one of our Disney trips because it's close to Orange County. So I was thinking like, oh, Orange County. We stayed in like the dumpiest ass hotel. Dad and I were like, oh shit. But the Orange, California is literally like right next to Orange County, Anaheim, like really close to Disneyland, actually.
I was going to say I had no fucking idea where that was at.
Yeah. So she goes to this college, and after about a year, she's expelled for promiscuous behavior, and she is sent back to Arizona. Now, on November 13th, 1973, Diane marries Steve. Now, Diane had actually run away from home to do this because her parents did not, agree with their relationship. And at this time, Steve had actually enlisted in the Navy. And so it was also kind of like a twofold, because I don't know if people know this, but if you enlist in the military, at least in the United States, if you are married, there are special, I don't want to say accommodations because I don't think that's what it is. But like when I'll just say this. When I was in high school, one of my friends was in the Air Force and he was single. And he would go on these trips. And during my high school years, we were going to Iraq. And he would fly to Iraq. Well, every time he would fly to Iraq or Afghanistan in like the more dangerous zones, if he'd get like hazard pay. But see, if you are married, your hazard pay is a lot more because you have a wife or a family also. So if something happens to you, they're supposed to essentially give you extra money for that. So when you are married, if you get married and you go into like boot camp, or even if you're just he's going into the Navy, anytime that he were to do something or whatever, he would get more money. And if you are using their, if you live on bases, you get, I think, more money because you have to accommodate more than one person. And if you live off of base, you get like a credit that you get to help pay for your house. You would get more money because you have a spouse. So it was kind of like a beneficial agreement. Like, hey, let's get married. I'm in the Navy. You don't want to be at home. Ta-da. Because even later in life, Diane actually claims that she did not ever marry Steve because she loved him. She said she literally married him because she needed to get out of her family.
Damn.
So it kind of, I think both of them had kind of their own reason really to get married. Then in 1974, Diane gives birth to the couple's first daughter. Her name is Christy Ann. Then in 1976, she gives birth to another daughter named Cheryl. And she actually does get pregnant again, but she ends up having an abortion with this one. Now, she does later in life say that she actually regretted having the abortion after realizing what stage the baby was in when she did it. She claims that she had gone to a she didn't say like Planned Parenthood, but she went somewhere that was willing to do abortions, and she had a conversation with them and said, I am 6 weeks pregnant. What stage is this baby at? And she said that the person told her that the baby was just a clump of mucus at 6 weeks. So it's really not a big deal if she wanted to abort the baby. But she found out later in life when she had attended an anti-abortion rally. And while she was there was a pamphlet that talked about the stages of pregnancy. And when she realized that 6 weeks was not actually a clump of cells, she actually started to feel very guilty about the fact that she killed this baby, right? So she wants to have another baby to amend her sin, is what she says. She wants to have another baby to make it right that she had an abortion. Based off what you've heard so far, I don't think she was necessarily right in her brain. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, as I researched it, I started to sit there and go, not that it gives her
not
an
everything
excuse,
is clicking,
but yeah, not everything was meshing in her brain properly, I don't think, because there was a lot of things that was like, what? That doesn't, like, common sense, right? And so whatever. So anyway, so she wants to have another baby. The problem is her husband had already had a vasectomy because they agreed 2 children was enough. And that, she had aborted their 3rd child. So he was like, yeah, like, we don't want more than 2 kids. So he had a vasectomy. So now, yes, you can get vasectomy reversals, but who the fuck wants to go through that, right? So she was just kind of like,
motherfucker.
So now she's like, well, I still want to have another baby because I need to make amends for the one I aborted. So she ends up getting pregnant by one of her male friends instead. Now, she gives birth to this little boy, Stephen Daniel, in 1979. Now, in 1980, Diane and Steve get divorced due to a few things. Financial issues was one, but fighting was another. But really, the biggest one was accusations of infidelity. Since she just had a baby and he had a vasectomy. He was kind of like, that's not my baby.
Dumbass.
That's not my kid. And so that was their, I mean, they were just kind of like, okay, fine. I mean, again, they both kind of, I don't think they married for love. So for them, I think it was just kind of like, fuck it. Like, if you're not going to be faithful to me, then what do we got? Then in May of 1982, so this is 2 years later, Diane actually tries to be a surrogate. Like, she really likes being pregnant, I guess.
Who the fuck likes that? I've never had a baby, but I've heard
I'll tell you,
shitty.
I'll tell you right now. I had the worst pregnancies. I've been pregnant twice, and I had the worst pregnancies ever. I would never want to be a surrogate because I don't like being pregnant. However, the delivery of kids was very easy for me. I could have been a surrogate probably and popped out kids with no problem because my deliveries would go fairly fast. And I pretty much always had an epidural and didn't feel a single thing. So the delivery portion was fine, but the actual pregnancy part was awful. I don't know who wants to be pregnant, but apparently she liked it. And actually they did talk a little bit about it. I watched a documentary on it and they were talking about like she literally liked being pregnant. That was part of her problem, is that she liked having kids. So she tries to be a surrogate. However, she is given 2 different psychiatric tests for surrogacy, which they do because they need to make sure you're at least doing whatever. And she failed both of them. She failed both psychiatric tests. She was actually
Shocker.
showing, yeah, right. And she was actually showing signs of psychosis based off her answers. Okay. Now, there was one article that I read, and I just am going to say it because it's the only article I found that had this information. It said supposedly she was allowed to be a surrogate and did actually have a baby. But I can't verify that with any of the other articles. None of the other, most of the,
if that shit's true, that's wild.
Right. Well, in the article,
that's fucked actually.
Most of the articles, most of them didn't even talk about the fact that she wanted to be a surrogate. There was only 2 other ones that did, and both of them said she was not allowed to. So I actually don't know the right thing, but the truth of the matter is she did want to be a surrogate at least. Now, Diane did work for the United States Postal Service, and she actually would have routes in Cottage Grove, Oregon. So here she's still living in Oregon. Now, Steve had actually made accusations that Diane treated her children like absolute shit. And that she lacked maternal instincts. That's her ex-husband is saying no, like she actually was a bad fucking mom. Like, and here's his example. He said that Diane forbid everything to her children. He said if Danny, which is her youngest son, if Danny demanded even just a little bit of attention, she would reject him. But the worst was when one day, so this is his quote, when one day I caught Cheryl jumping on the bed. I told her that it is not allowed, and I made her sit down and think about what she had done, which Cheryl remained calm while looking up at him and said, "Is there a gun here?" with a question, like she questioned him. And he replied with like, "No." And then he's like, "But why would you even ask that?" And she said, "I want to kill me. My mom says I'm bad."
What the fuck?
And that's his daughter, like his biological daughter. And so he's saying like the worst thing she was not a good mom. And then on top of it, she like tells our kids that they're bad. And now they're talking about guns, right? So this whole thing was a little weird. On May 19th, 1983, Diane drives her car to Mackenzie Willamette Hospital in Springfield, Oregon. Now her car is blood spattered and all 3 of her kids have now been shot. And Diane herself has been shot in the arm as well. Now, upon arrival, Cheryl, who is 7 at the time, is dead. Danny, who is 3 at the time, is paralyzed from the waist down. And Christy, who is 8, had suffered a massive debilitating stroke. She's 8.
A fucking stroke?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Now, Diane claims that she was carjacked on a rural, I cannot say that word, road in Springfield, Oregon. Now, what she says is that a strange man shot her and her children. Now what she's claiming happened immediately raises suspicions for the officers and the hospital staff. One, they felt that she was acting way too fucking calm for what she claimed had actually happened. Two, they felt that some of the things that she was saying were extremely inappropriate at the time. I don't know, like there wasn't any quotes of what she was saying, but I don't think they mean like sexually inappropriate. I'm sure they're talking about like
with the situation at hand.
Yeah, like
not,
yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, her 7-year-old daughter is dead. So she should be upset, and she's not really upset. You know, she's more worried about her arm being shot and not really
like maybe that was the inappropriate shit. That's the fact that saying. Like her kids weren't her priority.
Yes. Now, her actual claim was that she was driving home from a friend's house and that all of her children were sleeping when she sees a man in the middle of the road flagging her down. So she pulls over, which I say, why the fuck are you pulling over in the middle of the night to a strange man flagging you down with your 3 children in the car? That in itself is dumb as fuck. So she says she describes the man as a bushy-haired stranger that she's never seen before. She said that he demanded that she give him the keys to her car.
Wait, is it Sasquatch?
Right? Is it? Oh, it could have been.
Bushy-haired
man.
She's fucking crazy.
Oregon. She refuses. And supposedly, after she refuses, which according to her, she said, I laughed at him and said, I'm not giving you my keys. Which, no, the fuck you didn't. No, you didn't. Anyways, to which they get into an altercation. And this is when he shoots her in the arm. This is what she tells him. He pulls out a gun. He shoots me in the arm. Then he opens the driver's side door of my car and shoots all 3 of my kids. So this is what she tells them. Because 1 kid was in the front, 2 were in the back. Okay. So she says, this is what he does. She then says, at that point, after he shot her kids, she was like, oh shit. And she's like, hey, sir, do you want my keys? And he's like, yes, I do. And she's like, go find him, fucker. And she throws him into the fucking bushes, or pretends. No, you didn't. And then he scurried.
Not a fucking dog.
Then he scurried over to the bushes to search for the keys.
Yeah,
no, he didn't. Right. I'm like, okay, lady. To which she tricked him. She didn't throw the keys because according to them, she faked it. And as soon as he ran to the bushes, she jumped in the car and took off like a bat out of hell to the hospital. Again, none of this really sounds like it happened, but okay. Now, obviously an investigation starts because regardless of what happens, we need to find out how these 3 children ended up getting shot. So if there really is a man, we need to stop him. And if there's not, we need to find out who's responsible. Now, they do find it weird that Diane actually goes to the hospital to visit her kids, like the night of, like, because she gets taken in for her arm, and her kids get taken in to get, well, the 2 that were living to try to save their lives. Well, when she gets out of her whatever with the gunshot to her arm, she goes around to like go see her kids. But see, she takes the time to actually call a man named Robert Knickerbocker. I know the name. So they found it weird that she had called this man. And the reason they find it weird is because, again, where are your priorities? You just like literally just got shot in the arm and your children are in the hospital and you're supposed to be checking on them and you're taking time out to call some dude.
And also, I know you're divorced from your ex-husband, but
why are you not calling
I feel like
first?
If I had children with somebody and we got divorced,
that's the first
I'd be calling my ex-husband.
Like, let me let you know what happened.
Especially because one of your kids is dead.
Right. So
guilty motherfucker.
This man that she calls actually is a married man and a former coworker of hers from when she lived in Arizona. She also happened to have an affair with him as well. Now, the forensic evidence also did not match what she was saying. So first of all, she said the guy opened the door and shot all 3 of her kids. She also said that he shot her inside the car. Like he came up to the car and asked her for her keys and they got into an argument. And then that's when he shot her supposedly. Okay. Now there is no blood spatter on the driver's side of the car, nor is there any gunpowder residue on the driver's side door, interior or exterior. So there's no fucking way that she got shot sitting in her driver's seat. And there's no way that some man shot her kids also in the driver's seat. Like that doesn't make sense because there's no gunpowder residue at all in there, which there should be if you're shooting inside the car, right? Like that's just how that happens. Now, Richard, the man she had an affair with, they talked to him and he's like, listen, Diane and I did have an affair. You are correct. We had an affair. And I broke it off with her because I originally told her that I was going to leave my wife for her. But I decided I wanted to work it out with my wife. I left her and she's been stalking me ever since. And that she even at one point said to me, like, listen, if I need to, I'll kill your wife for you, because then that would mean you're all mine.
The fuck?
So obviously now,
I mean, I believe it.
I do
but
too.
Damn.
So obviously now the police are like, well, that's weird. Then her ex-husband, Steve, and her affair stalking man that she's wanting to be with, Richard, both tell the police at two different times that Diane also owned a .22 caliber handgun, which is something that she neglected to tell the police at all. Now, they were not able to actually find the gun, like, ever. But what they did find is they went to her home and they found unused cartridges in her home. Now, the thing about this, I don't understand because I'm not a gun person. But what they said was they found these unused cartridges. But when you look at the unused cartridges, they were marked for her gun. And they were able to match that mark to the bullets they found in the car. I don't know what mark they're talking about because they're not used bullets. So it's not like when you shoot a gun.
If I'm not mistaken, I think there's like when they make bullets, there's certain markings
for specific types of guns or something. Okay.
I think so. I mean, I could be
that would be the best guess that I can have, because I was like, I don't understand how that works. They also found witnesses that said that they saw her driving to the hospital. They saw that vehicle with her in it driving to the hospital at a very slow pace, literally 5 to 7 miles per hour, which completely contradicts her.
I'm gonna be honest. First of all, I don't know the last time I drove 5 fucking miles per hour. Like, even in a damn drive-through, I'm going at least like 10.
I'm sitting there going, how long did it take you to get to the hospital?
Enough for your daughter to die.
Holy shit. And like, honestly, that's what I think she was doing, was driving slow so they'd all die.
She probably was trying to drive slow so all of them would die, like you said. But
I mean, which literally goes against what she said, where she said that she took off speeding to the hospital as fast as she could. When not just one.
When she juked out the guy.
Multiple witnesses actually were like, no, I remember seeing that car because it was really weird. Because it was just like so like puttering along. And we were like, what is this lady doing? Because she was going that slow. Now, police used all of this evidence to arrest Diane 9 months after the shooting. They arrested her on February 28th, 1984. Now, she is charged with 1 count of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder and criminal assault. Now, the prosecutors argued that Diane had actually shot her children to get rid of them so that she could try to continue her affair with Richard. He had actually told the police that he had ended their affair because he chose to stay with his wife. He had no plans of being with her. Part of his reasoning was he didn't want children, and he did not want to be a father figure to any children. So the children were kind of a deal breaker for him.
I know how that is.
I'm saying, but you're not going to kill your children because someone doesn't want to fucking be with you.
No. You just date people that
date somebody
don't
else.
Have kids.
Now, Diane was also diagnosed as being a narcissist. She was diagnosed as being histrionic, and she was diagnosed as being antisocial.
Okay, for those of you that don't know histrionic, because I didn't know what it was, histrionic personality disorder is a mental health condition that affects the way a person thinks, perceives, and relates to others. Genes play a role in the development of personality disorders. Abuse or instability during childhood also may increase the risk. A person with histrionic personality disorder seeks attention, talks dramatically with strong opinions, is easily influenced, has rapidly changed emotions, and thinks relationships are closer than they are.
Which is literally her. So that was that.
And it's pretty common. It affects 200,000 people per cases per year.
But that's actually by... To me, that's not that many, but sure. I mean, yeah, it is. Wait, it affects 200,000 people? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So when I looked it up, it said that more than 200,000 U.S. cases per year. So they consider it common.
Which is so like...
And the only treatment is talk therapy.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, if I'm being super honest, I think that's just one of those things that we've created that personally. I think it's something that we have created as a society in people. But anyways, back to what we should be talking about. So she has she's been diagnosed with these 3 things. Now, those 3 things together, by the way, also meant that she fit the profile of a malignant hysteria psychopathy, which is...
It's a core characteristic of female psychopathy that's characterized by traits like aggressiveness, attention-seeking, promiscuity, and impulsivity.
And that fits her to a T. She was very much wanted attention. She was promiscuous. Remember, she got kicked out of college for that. So she most definitely has, like we had said, something wasn't quite right, probably in her brain. It was stated in her trial that she shows no remorse. She regards her children with no empathy and as objects or possessions. Any feelings that she has for them are superficial and only extend how they are part of her and her life, which is a narcissistic thing, by the way. Now, I would say the most damning evidence in this trial was actually the testimony of her own daughter, Christy. So Christy, who finally, after a bunch of time, had regained the ability to speak after suffering the major stroke, she was asked by the prosecuting attorney in court, "Who shot you?" And her reply was, "My mom." Well,
That's
to me, that's it, right? Now, what she actually told the jury was that her mom had pulled over to the side of the road and began shooting the 3 children and then shot herself in her arm. Now, Diane was convicted on all charges on June 17th, 1984. She was sentenced to life in prison plus 50 years. She was required to serve at least 25 years before she could even apply for parole. Now, the judge did make it very clear that his intentions were that Diane would never be set free.
good.
By the way, I did not mention that Diane was pregnant while she was on trial with another child. And I don't think anybody really knows who the father was, but she did get pregnant with another child.
Fuck.
Once she had the baby was actually adopted out. Like the baby was
Good.
adopted out. And she was sent to Oregon Women's Correctional Center in Salem, Oregon. That should be the end.
Nah, I see more fucking
But
papers.
it's not. So on July 11th, 1987, she actually escapes from prison by
Oh
scaling
my gosh.
by scaling the walls of the prison.
That's a fucking spider monkey?
I have no
Like-
idea. They were like 15-foot walls.
That's what I'm saying.
I have no idea how the fuck this lady did that.
I mean, if she's crazy enough, I
Yeah.
fucking don't know, man.
Yeah. Now, she was actually on the run for 10 days. Like, she actually was gone for 10 days. And it actually triggered a 14-state manhunt because they had no idea where she went. Now, she does end up getting recaptured, but here's something real crazy. So one of the articles that I read, it was actually an interview with the guy who literally harbored her while she was escaped. And it was one of her cellmates' boyfriends. And that cellmate had called him and said, "I need you to basically take care of her." So like, and then those two also, what a good friend. They had a sexual relationship the whole time she was there. So that's
For the
cool.
10 days.
Yeah. So, which again, 10 days, you don't even know the dude. That's weird. So
Whoa.
anyways, he says now, like, he's like an old man. He's like, "I should have turned her in, but I didn't because my girlfriend had asked me not to." He goes, also at the time, he's like, we were like a party house. Like we were just partying, having a good time and living our life. So she does end up obviously getting recaptured. Okay. Now she does apply for parole in 2008. Now in this parole, she actually still claims that she's innocent and that she did not do this, which is something that she literally still to this day says that she did not do this. Now in her very first parole hearing, this is actually what was stated by the parole board. Downs continues to fail to demonstrate any honest insight into her criminal behavior. Even after her convictions, she continues to fabricate new versions of events under which the crimes occurred. This man also wrote that she alternatively refers to her assailants as a bushy-haired stranger, 2 men wearing ski masks, or drug dealers, and also she says that it was a corrupt law enforcement officials that also did this. So she's had 4 different
telling you
versions.
the first one's Sasquatch.
I know. So obviously she was denied parole in the first one. She has had 2 more parole hearings since then. She had one in 2010 and one in 2020, and she was denied for both of them. Now, Diane is currently serving her sentence in Valley State Prison for Women in Coachella, California. However, I'm going to just throw something out here, and this is going to be one of those, think about it for a minute, okay? One of the things that I had found very weird while I was doing my research about this case is that her 2 surviving children, they got adopted out and they didn't go and live with their father. Now, weirdly enough, no one really knows what happened to him. He just like disappeared. Didn't fight for his kids. Nothing.
I think she killed him.
No. She didn't kill him because
I was like, that was my first thought.
No, because they interviewed him. It was like after all this shit happened, you know, like he was there interviewing, but like what happened? Like they're your children.
But I mean, if he was in the military, maybe he died.
I mean, no. He like purposely disappeared. He didn't take his children. Like so much so, like.
I mean, that is weird.
So much so that I'll get to it in a minute. So he didn't take them. And one of the things that Diane has always claimed is that the police had told her that they believed in the beginning, before they accused her, they actually told her in the beginning that they believed that Steve, her ex-husband, was behind the shooting of her and her kids. However, the fact that her daughter was able to identify her mother as the shooter, still, that's like really hard to like what she's going to lie about that. Like, why would she lie about that? That's literally the difference between her mother going to jail or not. Right now, her 2 children that were adopted were fucking adopted by the prosecuting attorney that did her case, not the defense attorney, the man who prosecuted her for these attempted murders and the murder. And the thing that's really weird
That's fucking weird.
Okay. And he adopted them as soon as the case was over. So that's why I'm saying, like, the father.
Maybe he fucking sold his children.
The father never fucking tried to keep those kids. And then here's the thing. The 2 that were adopted, what she had claimed, because I watched a whole parole interview with her, and what she claimed was, I continue to tell people I did not do this because I did not do this. And she said at one point in the trial, they had brought in a mock-up of her car, and they had dummies in the seats in the same positions that the kids were. And then the prosecuting attorney, the one that adopted her kids, stood there with a pistol or a handgun, and stood exactly where she said or exactly how the police evidence, whatever, claimed that how she was based off evidence, and went to basically had to shoot each of the dummies and was not able to shoot her little boy at all from the angle that supposedly she would have had to be in to shoot them. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the first thing that she said. And she said as he was trying to do it, she said when he went to go shoot they called him the dummy Danny, because they named him all the kids. And she said when he went to go shoot the dummy Danny, he realized that there was not a good angle for him to be able to shoot. He couldn't physically shoot the dummy Danny according to what they said I did. And I'm almost wondering if what they're saying is Christy said that her daughter, it almost sounds like she shot them while she was sitting in the car. And the thing is, she said that, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like he sat in the car, shot Christy, who was sitting in the front seat, turned and shot Cheryl, who was sitting behind Christy, but could not turn and shoot Danny without switching hands. And then she said, anybody who knows anything about guns, like, it's going to be really hard to have a good shot with your non-dominant hand.
Right.
And so she said that the prosecuting attorney, when he was in the middle of trying to do this, literally in court, stopped when he was trying to shoot Danny and turned and looked at her. And she looked at him and like she nodded at him like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is I didn't fucking shoot my kids. And then he turned and looked and he said the only pliable or possible way she could have done this is if she switched hands. And that's just not really fucking possible. And she said that after that thing, they did the closing arguments like the next day. And that is when he went to her and said, I would like to offer to adopt your children. And she said she believes it's because he genuinely does not think she did it. And he genuinely thought that her husband was behind it and was worried that her kids were going to be killed because the job did not get finished. That's what she said, which that's kind of like maybe. And then the other thing was she also had claimed that all of the, you know how they said that she's claimed different people shot. She said, I never said that. She said, what I told them is I told them that it was a shaggy haired man or whatever she said, a bushy haired man. And she said, they're the ones who said, are you sure it wasn't somebody with a ski mask? Because we think your husband could have been behind it. Like he hired somebody. So she says all the ways that they supposedly claim that she did it is all what they've said, which is where the corrupt cops come in, because she's trying to say that the cops are lying and putting words in her mouth. Again, the fact that her daughter, though, was like, my mom is the one that shot me. However,
you can manipulate a
she
little
also
kid,
claims, so now I wish I could remember which parole hearing this was. I think this was her 2010 parole hearing when she was talking about this stuff, because I watched like half of her parole hearing interview, because she was doing it by actually nope, it was 2020, because she was doing it by video. Obviously, she was doing it by video because of COVID. So I was watching her, and she's talking back and forth, and she's very, I don't know, maybe I just don't see it. She's very level-headed, and she didn't like stutter over her words. Like, she was very matter of fact about it. But she said, since this has happened, she said, my daughter, Christy, has written me, and I have talked to Christy. And she said, Christy to this day tells me the reason she said it was me was because the police officers told her that she had to say it was me, because they thought that there was a scary man behind the shooting, and if she claimed it was the mom, then they would be able to find, or something. There's some weird reason why. But she supposedly, as an adult, was like, my mom, I don't remember my mom being the one shooting me. So I don't know. So I'm just saying, it just seems a little bit of a weird thing. However, when I look at all the evidence, I still do really, I believe more that Diane Downs was responsible for the shooting. Okay, I do. Because I sit there and I go, but all the other pieces, right? All the other evidence, all the other pieces, her story about how it came about and throwing the keys, those are just not things that you're just not going to react that way. If somebody's shooting your fucking kids, you're not going to pretend to throw keys. You're going to try to fight that motherfucker and get the gun from him. I would hope. Like, that just seems to be the more natural reaction. So there's that kind of stuff. The fact that she was seen driving 5 miles per hour to the like hospital by multiple people.
The gun residue alone.
The gun residue not being where they said it was going to be.
It for me, if I'm
right.
Being honest.
So I'm sitting here going, I just don't think that what she's saying is true. I just find it really fucking bizarre that they had a father and he chose to just ignore them after they got shot. Yes, he lost one of his daughters. And yes, one of those children was not his, to be fair. The little boy is not his child.
Yeah, but the one that died is his biological daughter.
Yes, and the one that was not paralyzed. The one that had the stroke, she was his daughter. And it just seems so weird to me that he didn't want anything to do with them. And then to be adopted by the prosecuting attorneys of all things, that's just so bizarre. However, I did not dig deep into their lives because they don't want to be disturbed. But I will tell you the updates I do have is that, so the baby that she was pregnant with when she was convicted, she was also adopted out. And she found out later in life, I think she was like 11 or 12, who her mother really was, because she wouldn't let it go. She wanted to know, because she knew she was adopted, and she actually reached out and wanted to form a relationship with this lady. And then she said now she regrets that. Like, she doesn't want a relationship with her. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an insight. Like, okay, well, maybe this lady's a little more crazy. And then the 2 children that were involved that lived, they actually stayed in Oregon. They stayed with the family that adopted them, and they grew up to be extremely successful in their own way. And they live completely private lives, and they hide from the world because they don't want people to know who the fuck they are. So to me, I wasn't going to try to dig to see if they had new names or what their jobs were. I don't give a fuck enough. My guess is they probably have different names. My guess is they have a prosecuting attorney for a father. They probably have different names because it's like Whitsec almost, right? But I do think there was something about this situation that would make a prosecuting attorney adopt the children of the lady he's accusing of trying to kill them. He might, in my mind, I do think that he thought there was a chance that they'd still be in danger. And I know what she says. She says it's because he thought that the husband was going to come after him. What I think is the prosecuting attorney thought that she was going to get out of jail. And he didn't want he didn't want her to find those kids. Yep. That's what I think. I think that he was worried that she was going to get out of prison and she was going to find them. Because it was such yes, they had some evidence, even if it wasn't, you just don't know what
even if it wasn't, like parole wise, if she would have gotten out on parole.
Just anything. That's what I'm saying.
No
like,
matter what time.
No, never. Right. So he wanted to protect those kids. And also, why did he adopt them? Well, probably because the fucking dad never showed up. So what are you going to do? Put him in the fucking foster care system? Like, no, these kids are
I'm sure
traumatized.
He knows how the foster care
I was just
system
saying, these
too,
kids are traumatized enough. So no, I mean, good on the guy. And I purposely, just so everybody knows, I purposely left his name out of this because I'm not going to be responsible for people doing deep dives on these people. I purposely left out his name as the attorney. You'd have to dig and read in articles to find out his fucking name. And y'all can do that if you want to, but I was not going to put that on here so that you people could turn around and try to figure out who these kids are. Who are, by the way, full-fledged ass adults now. Like, full ass adults. Actually, they're probably pretty close to my age, actually, because I was born in the 80s. So they're probably in their 40s. But I'm not going to I'm not doing that. But my point is, I still believe she did it, but it's just a weird fucking thing. And I really thought when I first started researching, I actually thought it was going to be one of those postpartum depression who killed her kids. Because that seems to be always what it is, but it's not. She didn't have postpartum depression. She legitimately was psycho. She had an psychosis problem, and therefore she deserves to be in jail, and she should never get out. And I don't think she ever will, because somebody who kills their own children, there's a special place in hell for you, regardless of your reason. There is a special place in hell for you for killing your children. That's Diane Downs. And the fact that Steve Downs didn't stick around. What a fucking father of the year for him.
Yeah.
So bravo, guys, for
Not
being
a fan
such
of
good
him.
Parents. But yeah, that's the story of Diane Downs. At least she didn't get out of jail yet.
If she would have fucking gotten out of jail, I would have.
Well, and you know what's crazy is I saw an interview with her.
Hey, we're in Washington. We're fucking close. I'm just saying.
I'm thinking, I want to say the interview I saw with her was right before she went into her trial. And there was she was talking to news. That's why I'm thinking she was on trial, because she wasn't like in prison clothes. But they had asked her why she was pregnant. Why are you pregnant when you're literally standing trial for murder of your children? And her literal fucking response was, well, because I really miss my kids. She said, I don't get to see Danny and I don't get to see Christy anymore because they won't let me, and I'll never get to see Cheryl again. So this is the way that I can have another child, because I miss them.
That's crazy enough.
Thank you. When I heard that, I was like, ma'am, you killed your child and tried to kill your other two children. Now you have another one because you miss them? Like, as if it's like, oh, I guess I'll just redo it. Like, that was the weirdest reaction, because I'm like, your daughter dies, so your immediate reaction was, let me just have another baby.
Let me just have another baby
to make
replace
up for
it.
I can replace. Yeah, they're replaceable. I mean, I guess you think about when she had the abortion, though. That's exactly what she did. Let me have another baby because I had an abortion. It's replaceable. I can just keep doing it. But she doesn't have that motherly. I don't have motherly instinct like that either. I mean, I'm not like that. I don't have that overly motherly instinct, which is so weird, because in my family, my mom is like so.
Yeah, no, in my immediate family, dad is the
my
bird.
mom is so motherly. Like, my kids, when they needed like a mom hug, they're going to my mom, or they'll go to their dad, because my husband is the mama bird. We always joke that he's the mama bird of the family. But I grew up in a household with a mom who hugged me all the time and says, I love you and all this stuff. And I just don't have that. It's not that I don't love my kids. I do. And I care a lot about them, but I just I'm missing that part of my. I say that.
She shows more love to the dogs.
I say that, but I will say, though, we all know that if something were to happen to you guys, I'll fucking kill somebody for you guys. So my love just comes out differently.
Your love comes out in aggression.
And
evilness. That's why you have to take so many fucking Disney trips.
It's true. That's the only thing that keeps me sane. No, but I'm serious. Like, I think about it and I'm like, I obviously love my kids and my husband, but also, like, I just don't. I feel like a terrible parent, because I do sit there and go, man, I should have hugged. When you were little, we hugged and like all the time. But when you guys got older, we didn't hug as much. And I'm like, I just feel like I probably should have hugged you more. Or like, even now, when you come over and then you leave, like, if it's me going to my mom when grandma and papa lived here, my mom's giving us hugs and kisses. Goodbye, I love you. I don't do
I'm
that.
like, bye.
I
Walk out. I don't even say I love you. I'm like, bye.
You're
Walk
like
out
me,
the door.
though. You're not a big hugger. You're not really big into showing your emotions like that. And that's the thing, is I don't wear my emotions out for the world to see. I hide my emotions. And so therefore,
You bottle up till you break.
I do. And I, as a parent, my emotions when it comes to you guys is I have so many fears for you and your brother that if I were to show you my fears, you guys would be like, you're fucking psycho, lady.
Oh, we already say that. Let's be honest.
I know, but you guys would really you might
We'd be like, you're getting a grippy sock.
I was going to say, your dad would be like, you're going to the institute, ma'am, because I have the craziest fucking thought, especially with you, because you don't live here anymore. And you're dating, you're doing the dating stuff. And the fucking shit that I think about when you're out on a date or when you're at home and I know that you're just by yourself, I'm like, oh my God. Like I just know that I'm just crazy. I'm just crazy.
That's what all lives for.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, so I just show my love differently. I'm just not that over lovingly mother, but she didn't do any of that. She didn't, not only did she not love her kids, but she didn't even want to be around her kids, which is very different. You guys grew up, we're a very close family because we always wanted to be around each other. So regardless, so Diane Downs is in jail for hopefully ever, but if not, she is in Oregon, which is just across.
No, she's in California.
Oh, that's right. She is in California now because Oregon couldn't keep her in because she escaped. That's not a fucking shock, by the way.
Now, if she comes back to Oregon.
If she comes back to Oregon to look for anything, I mean, listen, we're in Washington. We're fairly close. Diane,
we could Squid Game this.
Ma'am, don't even try. Don't even try.
Bitch, don't even.
Bitch, don't even try. Anyways, if you like what you hear and if you like the Crime Bitches topics, make sure you are following us so that you will get a notification every Tuesday when we post new episodes. And I think other than that, I am just going to tell y'all, thank you for listening. We appreciate you, and I'll catch you on the flip side, bitches.
Bye, bitches.